that y'all have joined us today with our Caregiving and the Holidays Stress Reducing Tips and Tools. Dr. Zuniga is a clinical psychologist in Austin. He's worked for more than a decade in pediatric and adult oncology and end-of-life healthcare. He's a former faculty member and psychologist in the Integrative Medicine Department of the University of Texas, MD Anderson Cancer Center. He specializes in supporting patients and staff with mindfulness-based interventions. He's also certified in mindfulness and wellness, and has provided hundreds of customized mindfulness-based stress reduction seminars. And he's customized one for us today. So we are so excited to have him and look forward to hearing what he says. Thank you so much, Dr. Zuniga, and it's over to you.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody? Okay, what we may do, feel free to call me Dave if you prefer. If you have trouble hearing me, what we could do, Natalie wisely counseled me that if my internet goes out or a little spotty, I can turn off my video. But if you have trouble hearing me, if I freeze up, feel free to just kind of wave your hand to me as well, and that might be the fastest. And I apologize. I do a fair amount of public speaking, and it just so happens that my wife is a computer programmer, and she handles all the tech stuff for our family, and I do a lot of talks. But this particular morning, when I'm speaking for two of my very favorite agencies, AGE and the Area Agency on Aging, when I'm speaking for two of the most important organizations in Central Texas, that's when my internet is spotty. So I really apologize for you all. If you can't hear me, just let me know. And what I'd like to do, my talk today is entitled Caregiving and the Holidays, Stress Reducing Tips and Tools. And again, want to thank AGE of Central Texas, and I want to thank the Area Agency on Aging, and I also want to thank all the participants for logging in and joining us. I'm assuming the vast majority of people on our call today are caregivers. And as you all are caregivers, I'm a caregiver myself, in addition to being a psychologist and a minister. I just want to thank you. I know you all are incredibly busy, and every moment of your time is precious. So just thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. What I'd like to do, again, the talk today is Caregiving in the Holidays, Stress Reducing Tips and Tools. If I'm remembering correctly, you all can post your questions in the chat, and I will do my best to monitor them. And then also Natalie, I think Natalie or Rhonda may be monitoring them too. I'm going to speak till about 11:20. Well, my portion of the presentation will be till 11:20 or 11:25. I'm going to log out at that point, but please stay on. There's still some valuable programming from AGE and the Area Agency on Aging. And then also, if you have any thoughts, questions, experiences you'd like to share, please post them in the chat. We'll take some time at the end of our presentation before I log off to try and address your good questions. I'll also share a few resources really quickly. And then, I know AGE and the Area Agency on Aging will be sharing their resources as well. So thank you so much for attending today, and I'm honored to be with all of you. What I'd like to do to begin with is to start us off on a brief guided meditation. Part of the reason I like to start with meditation is because meditation is something you can do anytime, anywhere, for any period. So you can meditate, you can take 5 deep belly breaths when you get out of bed in the morning, when you're waiting for your internet connection to reboot so you can get on a webinar, you could take a few deep belly breaths. And restoration can change the entire fabric of your day in a skillful, helpful way. So I always like to start with a little meditation, just a few quick helpful guidelines. With meditation, it's nothing fancy. It's just your everyday life. I speak a lot on things like stress reduction and meditation. And whenever I give talks on meditation or stress reduction, people always say, Dave, I'm no good at meditation. To which I say, there's no such thing as being bad at meditation. If you get distracted during your meditation, that's okay. Distractions are a normal part of life. We have over 80 billion cells in our brain. To live is to be distracted. The holidays can be a distraction. And if you're a caregiver, you're probably juggling a million balls. So of course you're going to get distracted. Your distraction is actually an opportunity to bring yourself back and focus on what's most important to you. So if you get distracted, that's actually a good thing. It's actually an opportunity to refine what we call in psychology is attention control and metacognition. Those are kind of fancy terms, but what they mean is awareness of our awareness. A lot of times, especially for caregivers, you get, sleep deprived, or during the holidays, we can all get over busy. Things hijack our thoughts, our emotions, and when we get hijacked, then we get in interpersonal patterns or behavior patterns that may not always serve us well. So if you get distracted in your meditation, that's actually a great thing, because it's an opportunity to refine and emotional techniques. So don't even worry if you get distracted. That's actually a good thing in a lot of ways. Just gently bring yourself back. And again, meditation is something you can do anytime, anywhere, for any period. So maybe you're lying down in bed and resting. Maybe you're sitting in a chair. You don't have to be in a fancy yoga posture. You don't have to be in a fancy full lotus meditation, kind of putting your legs in a pretzel. If you're flexible enough to do those things, good for you. I've been meditating for, I think, about 35 or 40 years, and I never sit like that. 99% of the time when I meditate, I just sit in a straight chair. So don't worry about your position. You just want your body to be in a position that's comfortable for you. Especially as caregivers, you might be really busy. So just be gentle on your body. Also, you can meditate anytime, anywhere, for any period. If you want to close your eyes, that's fine. You can keep your eyes focused on something that is comforting to you. But the key thing with meditation, there's visualization practices, there's words or phrases, there's guided meditations like body scans, loving kindness. Meditation is just putting your thoughts and emotions on things that are helpful for you. Again, meditation is just slowing down and putting your thoughts and emotions on things that are helpful for how you want to be in the world. Meditation is just putting your thoughts and emotions for how you want to be in the world. That's what it is. You can meditate on anything. Meditation is just slowing down and paying attention. That's what it's all about. If you're walking the trash or the recycling to the curb, that's walking meditation. Maybe you're mixing up a salad for your family. That's mixing salad meditation. Maybe you're petting your cat or your dog, or maybe you sit outside while your loved one is sleeping in the backyard and you feel the sun on your face and you have a nice cup of coffee or tea. That's drinking coffee or tea meditation. Meditation is just slowing down and paying attention to what's helpful for how you want to be in the world. That's what meditation is. And when you do this, the brain and the body are one. Your mind is a part of your body. When you help relax your brain, you're also relaxing your body. Conversely, if you relax your body, you're helping to relax your brain. Everything that's psychological is biological. Everything that's biological is also psychological. So we hold a lot of stress and tension in our bodies. So if you're able to take a relaxing bath or do kind of deep belly breathing in the shower, or if you're able to do some yoga or some Tai Chi or meditation while you're walking the dog, if you calm your body, that will help lower stress-related neurotransmitters like adrenaline and cortisol. Conversely, if you do meditation or contemplative prayer, there's actually a lot of exciting research out there on frozen. What I may try doing, Natalie, thank you for your text. What I may, thank you, everybody. Can you all hear and see me? I'm using 2 devices. All right, I think we're good. So, all right, sorry, y'all. Yeah, so just if anybody's confused, I think you can see me through one device and hear me through the other. Is that right, Natalie? Okay. I was just talking about meditation, relaxing your body. Why don't we actually just jump in and try a little meditation, and then we'll talk about stress reduction. And thank you, everybody, for your flexibility. So I've got a little meditation chime. And again, Natalie, everybody can hear and see me via 2 devices. Is that right? Are we good, Natalie? Are we good, Natalie? Okay. Thank you for your flexibility, everybody. I'm so sorry about this. Okay, so what I'd like to do, just get your body calm. And you might find it helpful to have your spine straight, your neck straight, and then just but really the most important thing is you just relax and you do what's best for you. So if you'd like, you can keep your eyes closed, or you can keep your eyes open, just looking at something that's kind of restorative for you. I'll keep track of the time, and I'm going to ring the chimes 3 times to begin and end. And we'll begin now. As we begin our meditation, take a moment to relax and notice your body, and make sure you're in a comfortable position for you. And as you're breathing in and out, and in and out, just breathe in a way that's comfortable and natural for you. And if you find yourself distracted, that's okay. Distractions are a normal part of life. Just bring yourself back to your meditation. And if you like, while you're meditating, take a moment to focus on your body. You can kind of scan your body, or you can focus on a particular part of your body, or a particular process of your body, such as breathing or your posture. But just notice your body and pay attention to your body like a good friend. We can hold a lot of stress and tension in our bodies. And by slowing down and being kind to our bodies, it can be very helpful to us. So just take a moment and notice what your body is telling you. And if you're able, see if you can slow down even just a little bit and let your body relax, relax. And as you're breathing in and out, if you like, you can expand your awareness to your emotions. What emotions are you feeling right now? You might be feeling some big emotions. You might be feeling subtle emotions. Or you might have changing emotions, or more than one emotion at the same time. For now, just be a good friend to yourself. Imagine that you have a friend who accepts you, or a family member who accepts you, or a pet for precisely who you are, and is just fascinated with what's going on with you. And so, for now, be that good friend to yourself, just listening to yourself and giving yourself permission to feel whatever it is you need to feel. There's no particular way you need to feel during this practice. Just give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you need to feel. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, being aware too of any thoughts you might be having. Not creating thoughts and not resisting thoughts. Just being aware of the thoughts as they come, if they happen to arise in your mind. If any thoughts happen to come into your awareness, just letting them be like clouds in the sky. The clouds come and the clouds go. We don't control the clouds, and you don't need to control your thoughts. Not creating thoughts and not resisting thoughts. Just letting the clouds of your thoughts be as they will. And you're just cultivating awareness and relaxation as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And being aware too of any emotions you might be feeling in your environment. Being aware of your thoughts and your emotions and your physical sensations in your environment. What is it like for you in kind of mid-morning on a Monday, in the middle of November, as the holidays are approaching? What is it like for you as you're sitting on a chair or a sofa or in your bed? What is the temperature like? What sounds might you be hearing? What does the air feel like? Being aware of all the collection of elements that make up your existence, interacting with your environment, moment to moment to moment, as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And as we near the end of this practice, congratulate yourself for giving yourself a little energy and attention. And remember that you can do this practice anytime, anywhere, just by slowing down and paying attention and listening to yourself like a good friend. And remember that by taking care of yourself, even in little doses, it can make a big difference in the fabric of your day and help you care for the other people and things that matter in your life as well. Thank you for your meditation. Thank you, my friends. And I hope that wasn't too loud. I'm going to check the volume on my phone. And I'd like to ask, I'm going to kind of take a risk with the technology forces as they are. If you'd like, maybe you could put a comment in the chat. How was that practice for y'all? Was it easy or hard? Was it difficult? Did you find your mind wandering? And the other question is, and don't look at your clocks on the computer, but, oh, thank you, Tina. How long did it feel? Did it feel like, 1 minute, the time whizzed by, or did it feel like, 30 hours, interminably long? Glad you liked it, Tina. Any other thoughts or comments, easy or hard? Was there any difficulty with this practice? And I know it might be hard with the text stuff to type a message, but if you'd like to put something in the chat, I'd be delighted to hear. No such thing as bad feedback. So what we did right there was kind of a guided mindfulness exercise. And what that means is mindfulness, we use that term in a lot in our society. Thank you, Jax. I appreciate that. Mindfulness is just slowing down and paying attention to yourself in your environment. Slowing down and just kind of gathering data on what's happening in the moment so you can recalibrate yourself and bring yourself back to where you want to be. I'm going to take a look at these comments. This is great feedback. Jax, thanks for sharing that it was difficult. I'm sorry that it was difficult. Sometimes when I meditate, all feedback is welcome. Sometimes when I meditate, and I've been meditating for a pretty good bit of time, sometimes, meditation is a lot like exercise. The more you do it, the easier it gets. But sometimes, I try to exercise consistently, but exercise is not always fun. But I do find after I exercise, even if my body's achy or sore, or I just don't want to do it, then I'm always glad that I did. And even if it's not fun in the moment, like it's cold out in the backyard or something like that, even if it's not always pleasant in the moment, it does change the fabric of my day for the better. And again, any kind of movement practices y'all can do are psychological gold, because we literally hold stress and tension, trauma and grief in our bodies physically. The brain and the body are connected. So anything you can do for your body is good for your brain. Anything you can do for your brain to calm your brain will calm your body. And anything you can do for yourself is also taking care of your loved ones. I've spent a lot of my career working in hospice care. And just on a quick note, in hospice, we would always not just focus on the patient, but try to provide support for the family too. Because when you take care of the family, you're also taking care of the patient. And I say that to all of you because as caregivers, you are busy, 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 busy. And any little thing you can do is taking care of your family and your loved ones as well. So thank you, Jax. And Tina shared that she did find her mind wandering some, completely normal, completely natural. Hey, Tina, I love your question. I'm going to get to everybody's question. Yes, there are several things I would recommend, and I'm going to put these in the comments as some apps I recommend are. There's one called Calm. There's one called Insight Timer. There's one called 10% Happier. And then there's one called Headspace. Those are 4 that I hear a lot of good things about. I will put My website in here, not to be all self-promoting, but just because I'm certified in mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I worked, I'll just say quickly because there's so much I want to talk about, but supporting caregivers is one of my favorite things to do. But I'm certified in mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I worked with a documentary filmmaker. And if you go on my website, which you can also pull up on portable devices, cell phones, if you go under resources, the very first link for resources is guided meditations. And I worked with a documentary filmmaker, and it's about 2 hours. Each meditation's about minutes, and it's my voice. There's a little intro in my other office where I'm reading from a teleprompter. You can skip that. But the real meditations, all of which are free of charge, by the way, are videos of like California, mostly beaches in the Pacific Ocean, or like Galveston, the Gulf Coast, that kind of thing, birds, flowers, waves, clouds in the sky, all free of charge. There's body scans, loving kindness meditation, one for oncology, one on forgiveness, all kinds of different things. And those are completely free of charge. But I also really, really recommend these apps. By the way, I do also want to say, and I think you all know this, please, and so my website does have a lot of resources on healthcare, oncology, hospice care, caregivers, aging and elderly populations, but also wellness, positive psychology, all kind of things. And please do check out AGE and Area Agency on Aging. I've worked in healthcare a long time, and those are two fabulous organizations. I want to address your other good questions as well. Natalie shared, yeah, guided meditation is great. Guided meditation is quite skillful. I do all kinds of meditation. The big thing about meditation is you're just training your brain and your body. When your brain is a part of your body, you're training your brain for how you want to be in the world. And guided meditation can be quite skillful. There's all kinds of different meditation. The single biggest thing is you just putting your, I don't remember sorry again for the computer technological issues. But I'll just say briefly, meditation is just putting your thoughts and emotions on things that are helpful for you. That's what meditation is. And again, if you get distracted, that's okay. Distractions are a normal part of life. Your distraction is actually a good thing because it's an opportunity to bring your practice back to where you want to be. So Tina, Natalie, don't feel bad about guided meditation. I do guided meditation myself. So again, with meditation, just like being a caregiver, do what's skillful for you. And again, meditation is something you can do anytime, anywhere, for any period, which for caregivers, especially during the holidays, can be a godsend, quite frankly. So that's a little thought on meditation. I do want to say, as caregivers, you probably hear all kinds of stuff about, the stress of caregiving and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to focus too much on that. You all are living that journey right now. I'm glad you're on this call. I'm glad you're taking some time to care for yourself. Again, as you care for yourselves, you're also caring for the other people in your life who are important. And I do want to say, I want to thank AGE and the Area Agency on Aging that we're talking about the holidays. The holidays are great. They can be great. I like the holidays, but the holidays can often be bittersweet, or the holidays can sometimes just be hard. And that's something we often don't. I think we're starting to get some awareness as a society about the potential hardness of the holidays, but it's something I don't think we talk about enough, quite frankly. The holidays can be very hard, especially if you have a chronic or an incurable illness, or especially if you're a caregiver. And so I just want to empower you that, there's no particular way you need to feel during the holidays. Don't feel guilty if you don't share the festivity that everybody else is going through or seemingly going through. Again, kind of surviving the holidays is a lot like meditation itself. Meditation is putting your thoughts and emotions for how you want to be in the world. And so as you approach the holidays, ask yourself, what are the most important things for you during this upcoming holiday season? how do you want your holidays to look? And then just like in meditation, we say, what's skillful for your meditation practice? For the holidays, what's helpful or not helpful for how you want the holidays to look for you? There's no commandments around the holidays. There's no hard and fast rules around the holidays. Do what's helpful for you during the holidays. Do what's helpful that facilitates how you want to be in the world during this holiday season. There's no right or wrong way to celebrate the holidays. And again, another kind of good question to ask yourself about the holidays is, as you approach the holidays, what do you want the holidays to look like for you? And then what's helpful or not helpful for making that vision of the holidays come to fruition? I won't spend a lot of time talking about it, but I will take just a moment. I feel I'd be very remiss if I didn't mention that, hey, we're in a pandemic, and the pandemic is really, really stressful right now. I do want to say on the note of the pandemic, and I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm a psychologist, but you know, all the epidemiologists I read or physicians that I talk to, it is important, and we're not minimizing the difficulty of what happens, but eventually, sooner or later, this too shall pass. We will get through these hard times. So these are hard times for sure with the pandemic. And also, just like in meditation, you can experience one emotion or more than one thought at the same time. In our society as well, this may be a really hard time, and this too shall pass. So I want to offer that to you all. And I want to say too, yes, there are stressful things happening in our society. Yes, we are in a pandemic. All of that is true, and we do not want to minimize that. Just like in meditation, one of the ideas in meditation is that we try to see reality as much as we can. We want to see reality directly. And so we want to do that with the holidays as well. There are stressful things happening in our society right now, but I also want to emphasize there's really amazing things happening in our society right now. Like right now, each and every one of you is a caregiver, or maybe we have some patients on the line as well. That's great, you know, but each and every one of you is dealing with immense odds. And there's something, I'm so sorry for your difficulty, and there's also something really beautiful about what you're doing, that you're doing the very best you can, even during very hard times. And in a similar vein, I want to encourage you all to, as I say to my therapy clients, ground yourself in the good. Just as there are stressful things that are happening in our society, there are also beautiful, amazing things that are happening in our society. Like right before this talk with you all, I was on social media and I saw a little video of a young gentleman, I think in his 20s in Asia, who makes prosthetics for elephants who've lost one of their legs. And I just thought that was lovely. It's a little inspiring and true story from Asia. And I just offer that because, yes, there are stressful things in our society that are happening. And the holidays can also be stressful. You know, there's all kinds of expectations, and due to the pandemic, that, you know, gives us increased complications. Like right now we have a complication. I have to be logged on from my computer so you can see me, and my phone so you can hear me, I think. So we all have these, you know, stressors in our lives. And so again, meditation is one way you can slow down, you know, and kind of relax your body, relax your brain for any period of time, you know, even if it just lowers your stress a little bit. Well, that's a very, very helpful thing. And I want to say too, I did emphasize intentionally that I think you all, I know I haven't met, I know some of y'all personally, and some of you, I love that I can at least see your names. Some of you all I know, and some of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, but I've worked in healthcare for a long time, and I can tell you that one of the biggest things, what's most contagious about being a caregiver, especially during the holidays, is we can beat up on ourselves. It's very, very easy to do that. And in my experience, people beat up on themselves a lot even when they're doing a great, great job. So one thing I wanted to talk about today was the idea of the difference between pain and the idea of suffering. And this is a very important concept, I think, especially for both patients and caregivers. Pain, unfortunately, is kind of inevitable. Pain will happen. And I probably don't need to tell that to caregivers or patients if we have any patients on the call. We all get older. We all get sick. Things change. We live in a world where there can be pandemics, and we can face things like isolation or difficulty and change. Pain is part of the human condition a lot of the time. If you look at kind of the seminal figures of human existence, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, if you look at any of the kind of people who've really, healthcare workers during the pandemic, caregivers, caring for a loved one, the more people are in the world, sometimes the more pain they feel because they're doing more good in the world. They're dealing with great difficulty, and they're trying to transform that difficulty. So pain is a part of life, and pain, sometimes the more good we're doing, the more pain we may feel. This doesn't mean we're masochists, doesn't mean we pile on the pain intentionally, but often in life, the things that are most valuable require the most effort and difficulty. If they were easy, everybody would do them well all the time. If they were easy, it wouldn't require that much of us. And if it were easy, it probably wouldn't have as much meaning, So it's not that we want to suffer, it's not that we punish ourselves, but sometimes pain is a part of the human condition. And the difference between pain and suffering is when we cling to things that cause us to suffer more. And that's kind of a subtle distinction, but I think it's a very important distinction, especially for caregivers and especially in these potentially really stressful times. Suffering is when we cling to things that cause us to suffer even more than we have to. Suffering is so for example, being a caregiver is probably a hard path. Like, I don't know all of you personally, but I would imagine as caregivers, you're experiencing some difficulty. And of course you are. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. It means being a caregiver during a pandemic, as the busyness of the holidays approaches, is a very hard thing. Suffering, though, is when we cling to things that make our difficulty even worse. And again, having a meditative attitude towards life can be very, very helpful. In a way, all mindfulness is one type of meditation, and mindfulness is kind of what we did today. Mindfulness is just slowing down, and you can do this anytime, anywhere. There's a great neurologist who really helped popularize medicine in mindfulness in medical settings, Jon Kabat-Zinn. I recommend all his stuff. Jon Kabat-Zinn sometimes he's kind of the father of mindfulness in the West, and he sometimes doesn't use the term mindfulness. He uses the term good common sense. And because all mindfulness is, in a sense, and we did a guided mindfulness exercise, and as caregivers, you can do this anytime, anywhere. Just slow down and notice what's happening to you moment to moment to moment. Notice what's happening in your physical body. Am I holding any stress or tension in my back or my shoulders, or my neck? Am I feeling nervous energy in my body? Am I feeling really sad and lethargic? Notice what's happening in your emotions. Notice what's happening in your emotions. Notice what's happening in your thoughts. Notice what's happening in your thoughts. And notice what's happening in your environment. And I connect that kind of cognitive mindfulness technique with the difference between pain and suffering. As caregivers, during a pandemic, and as the busyness of the holidays approaches, it's probably a fair statement to say there will be some stress. But just take a mindfulness approach, just like we did at the beginning of our talk today. Slow down, notice what's happening in your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your environment. Notice what's happening in those things, and then bring yourself back to the path. Bring yourself back to the path. And part of that process, my friends, involves being kind to yourselves. I'm a caregiver for myself. One of my family members is in hospice. My mother has Alzheimer's. And as a psychologist, I'm a professional caregiver. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, no matter who we are. Everybody makes mistakes. If you look at the great kind of seminal people who've changed our society, again, people like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, people like that, amazing scientists who come up with vaccines, like we all make mistakes in our lives. Every caregiver, every patient, we've got over 80 billion cells in our brain. We're all going to make mistakes sometimes. Be kind to yourself. You're probably doing the best you can given the circumstance, and just bring yourself back to the path. In a similar vein, I want to talk about too, I appreciate your comment, Tina, about an outline. I'm glad that Rhonda, we're recording this, and if the recording isn't helpful, I can probably get an outline to y'all. I want to talk a little bit about the idea of acceptance and willingness. You hear the term acceptance a lot, especially around the holidays. And I mean, acceptance is great. I'm all for acceptance, of course. If you have acceptance, great. Let's have more of that. But I think we need to be very careful with the term acceptance, especially during the holidays, because, and especially for caregivers, it's kind of a double whammy of acceptance shame or an acceptance hammer. As caregivers, you've probably heard this. People will be like, we just need to accept things, that's a complicated process. And again, acceptance is great, but I do think sometimes people throw out what I'd almost call cheap acceptance, sometimes people will say, oh, you need to accept this, but that's kind of more about their own personal stuff because maybe they haven't processed some stuff in their personal life, or maybe for whatever reason, they don't have the wherewithal to be with a caregiver who's really in the thick of things, or we'll say, oh, everybody just accept things. Well, I can assure you, as somebody who's spent their entire career so I originally, quick side note, I went to divinity school and I worked as kind of an interfaith chaplain for a long time. Then I became a psychologist. And I've spent my whole career in kind of oncology, palliative care, hospice care, working with children and adults. And I guarantee you, no matter who people are, everybody has difficulties sometimes. Everybody has struggles. Everybody makes mistakes, and things are never universally easy for anyone. So the idea of just accept things, like it's like life is a 22-minute sitcom, or everything's like roses and buttercups and unicorns. That's not what acceptance is. Everybody has difficulty. I almost, instead of using the term acceptance, use the term willingness. Willingness. And that's maybe a subtle distinction, but it's a very important one. Acceptance doesn't mean everything is easy. Acceptance doesn't mean everything's fun and light, and you just kind of breeze through, the difficulties of being a caregiver, or what can be really stressful, crazy stress during the holidays, or a pandemic that can also isolate us and complicate things for patients and caregivers. Acceptance means you're willing to endure a difficult thing for some higher purpose. Acceptance means you're willing to make space for things in your life so you can focus on what's most important. That's what acceptance is. Acceptance might actually be quite difficult, quite hard, but you endure a hard thing for a higher purpose. Like Maybe I'll just use the example, maybe somebody has a chronic illness. That's an incredibly hard thing. Acceptance of a chronic illness doesn't mean, oh, great, I've got this, incurable condition that limits my life. Everything is just fine. Like that's not how acceptance works. I can tell you that as a psychologist. What acceptance might mean is, wow, I have this very hard thing in my life that may or may not change in an overt exterior way. I'll accept it, meaning I'll face reality directly, and I'll also make space for it so that I can engage in the other important things in my life. That's what acceptance is. Acceptance is a willingness to endure things which may or may not be able to be changed. And willingness or acceptance means, as much as we can, we're all human beings, we all make mistakes. Acceptance means, willingness means bringing ourselves back to the path so we can focus on what's most important. And so you see that, meditation actually fits in very nicely with these concepts that we're describing. We're describing the difference between pain and suffering. Everybody's going to feel some pain. Everybody's going to feel some difficulty. But the difference between pain and suffering is when we cling to things that cause us even more difficulty, whereas pain is we try and make space, we try and cultivate willingness to focus on what's most important. And so we see how acceptance and willingness, this doesn't mean everything in light is simple and light and breezy, but we make space for the difficulty in our lives and the important things in our lives. And again, that's where meditation can be so helpful. One form of meditation is almost like what we call mindfulness, is just slowing down and paying attention so that we can see how we want to be in the world. We see what's impacting us, and we practice bringing ourselves back. Another form is like guided meditations, body scans, loving kindness, meditations that focus on particular meditations, words, or phrases. And what you're literally doing is putting healthy thoughts and images in your mind for how you want to be in the world. So meditation or contemplative prayer, and there's lots of kinds of contemplative prayer, by the way. Contemplative prayer is kind of just meditation with a spiritual focus. But meditation, contemplative prayer is just training your brain so you can focus on things like acceptance, willingness, not getting caught in patterns that make things even more difficult than they already are. The last kind of big idea I want to focus on today, we've talked about meditation, we've talked about mindfulness, we've talked about things like acceptance and willingness and pain and suffering, these kind of things. I also want to talk a little bit about, and I think this is another important thing during the holidays and for caregivers, is the idea of happiness and the idea of purpose. We tend to focus a lot on the idea of happiness in our society. Not that happiness isn't important. Happiness is great. Happiness tends to focus on things like sensory pleasures, I was talking to a friend recently who bought one of these big fancy flat TV screens with a very nice picture and stuff. And I thought, well, that's great. That'll be a nice thing to have during the holidays. It's great, that the person could afford that during these difficult times. But, happiness focuses on things like television or movies or, takeout meals or Tex-Mex or like I like to eat mince a lot. I just like mince, they're kind of, but I use mince as an example. Happiness tends to be things like fleeting sensory pleasures. And there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe during the holidays you have special kind of coffee or candy canes or cookies or treats or, any of those kind of, delightful things. That's great. We need to be careful with that kind of concept of happiness, though, because those kind of conceptions of happiness, fleeting sensory pleasures, things that are kind of up and down and changing, there's nothing wrong with that, but we are in a pandemic, and being a patient or being a caregiver can be hard. And, just using the pandemic as an example, physical isolation or physical distancing, these kind of things as one example. It's good in the sense that it lowers the pandemic. It kind of helps flatten the curve. So we protect ourselves and we protect the people we love. But obviously that can be very challenging, So, and these aren't necessarily, with the pandemic or being a caregiver perhaps, may not always be the happiest of times, in terms of fleeting sensory pleasures. But there's a difference between happiness and purpose. And this is one of the other key ideas I want to leave you all with. A purpose isn't always something that's fun. A purpose isn't something that's always easy. But a purpose is something that is profoundly meaningful. When we're looking at the scope of our lives, what is most important to us? What are the things that really matter in the end? What are the things that are our values? What are the things that define us? These aren't necessarily goals. Like I could have a goal to, drink a lot of water and stay hydrated, or a goal to, I don't know, meditate 10 minutes a day or something like that. And that's great. Goals are great. The goal is, say, to stay hydrated or to meditate. Those are examples of goals. A purpose is why we're in the world in the first place. What are the most important things in our life? How do we define our life? How do we define ourselves? How do we define what's most important? When we look back on the scope of our existence, what is our legacy? What really matters in the end? A purpose is not a goal. It's not a finite destination. It's a way of being in the world. It's a lifetime path. Caregiving may be your new normal, your new lifetime path. Purposes aren't always fun and happy in kind of a fleeting sensory pleasure type of way, but purposes are very meaningful. And during the pandemic, or if you're a caregiver, things may not always be as happy as they used to be, but they can be profoundly purposeful. And again, I think if you look at some of the seminal figures in human existence, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, people like that, often the people who did the most good in the world weren't necessarily happy 24/7. I can assure you of that. But they did live purposeful, value-based, meaningful, purposeful lives. And so I want to offer that to you as well, because it's easy. The pandemic is hard. The holidays can be very busy. It's certainly skillful to slow down if you're able, but we can be very purposeful during these times. And I encourage you all to focus on, what is your purpose? What are the things that matter to you most in your life? And these can be very purposeful, meaningful times. I have a lot more thoughts and suggestions and kind of tips, but I also want to pause. I can probably only stay on for about another 5 minutes. Natalie, do we have any questions? Or I haven't seen anything in the chat, at least as much as I've been monitoring. Would you all like to put questions?
You can also feel free to unmute yourself if you would just like to ask your question.
Absolutely.
You can do that as well. Or put it in the chat. That works too. And that's okay. And that's okay if you don't have any questions right now.
Yeah, these are big ideas.
Let's see.
Oh, well, I saw from Tina. Yeah, so I do have a lot of tips too. Today, I do lots of talks on kind of the holidays and stress and stuff for caregivers. And sometimes I focus more on tips and sometimes I focus more on big ideas. And so today I thought I'd focus on big ideas like the difference of happiness and purpose, the difference of kind of, what is acceptance or willingness versus kind of what does our society say is acceptance? What is pain? What is suffering? Tina, I have a dog and 2 cats and a fish, so I feel your pain in a way. So I kind of wanted to focus on some big ideas today, but I will say, and I want to talk a little bit about the idea of meditation. So as caregivers, you all are super busy. My heart goes out to you, and thank you. You probably don't hear this enough, but thank you for what you're doing. And also, by the way, thanks to AGE and AAA, Area Agency on Aging. Y'all are caregivers too, and you're helping the caregivers. And when you help the caregivers, that's helping the patients. For myself, I'm a caregiver, personally and professionally. And, you know, especially during the pandemic, we're all busier, you know, we're all busier. Some things I try to do even in my own life. And feel free to keep posting your questions, y'all. One, I try to get a little sunlight every single day. Sunlight gives you vitamin D. Vitamin D boosts your immune system. You know, it also, getting a little sunlight, and I'm looking out the window as I say this to y'all, getting a little sunlight. Sunlight also helps with your natural circadian rhythms. So surprisingly, getting a little sunlight will also help with your sleep, you know. As a caregiver, especially during these busy times, even little micro tiny adjustments you can do in your life can make an epically big difference in the overall quality of your life. So I try to go outside every day, even if it's just for a few minutes, even if I'm just like texting or checking my phone or email. Sometimes I'll walk outside because I may still be doing the exact same thing in my backyard, but I'm getting a little natural sunlight. If you can, and I know this pandemic adds an incredible complexity, especially for caregivers and patients, but see if you can talk to people multiple times a day, even if it's just via Zoom. You know, there's actually some research out there that suggests just seeing a physical picture, you know, or analogous, Zoom is like a picture, you know, like I'm looking at Rhonda and Natalie, just seeing a picture of somebody you care about can lower stress-related neurotransmitters in your brain, you know, just by looking at a picture. So and I know Zoom may not always be the most fun, and thanks for hanging in there with our Zoom problems today. That was my fault, not, you know, AGE or AAA. That was me. But, you know, even just giving a little, like, you know, seeing somebody can literally alter the neurochemistry, even if just a little bit over time makes a difference. But make sure you take some time, ideally talking, you know, maybe physical distancing, you know, ideally outside, helps with the pandemic, you know, or Zoom, but make sure you try and check in with somebody, gosh, even if it's just a text, several times a week. And do take care of the physical organism. When you take care of your body, you're taking care of your mind. And when you take care of your brain and your mind, you're also taking care of your loved one. As a psychologist, I'm a professional sitter. I sit for a living and talk to people, but I do try and stay hydrated, you know? So I know it sounds basic, but it's
We've lost you again.
during the holiday.
We lost that. We're losing you.
Hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you
Yes.
You can now, but you're
Now.
cutting in and out. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, well, I'm sorry, you guys. The last thing I'll say really quickly, and actually I'm doing group therapy in just a minute, so I got to run. But sorry about the internet. I'm so sorry about this internet. I actually, maybe I said this at the beginning, but I try to do a lot of talks in the community, and I never have problems with my internet. I have a cable internet, except for today when I'm like doing a talk for 2 of my favorite agencies. So I totally apologize about that, but I probably got to run. I see that Tina said, you have a sun lamp. You know, I think that can be helpful. I don't know the research, you know, on kind of sun lamps versus outdoor, but for seasonal affective disorder. But thank you for mentioning that, Tina. Seasonal affective disorder is absolutely a phenomenon. And I also appreciate, I don't know the research comparing, say, sun lamps to outdoor, but I'll also say, Tina, and to everybody on the call, every little thing you can do helps. Every little thing you can do matters. So do what's skillful for you. And I also appreciate, thanks
We're losing.
disorder, which is absolutely, can you guys hear me? Sorry. Okay. I want to keep talking, but I'll log off. I know there's other stuff. But, you know, don't be afraid to talk about anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, especially right now, you know, and especially during the holidays. People, you know, there's almost this like collective compulsion around being happy. So it's natural. We often grieve during the holidays, and you know, it takes courage to ask for help. Everybody needs help sometimes. So don't be afraid to reach out for help, because we all need it. So I guess with that note, I'll go ahead and log off, but everybody else stay on the call. AGE and the Area Agency on Aging are going to still be kind of doing their cool programming and resources today. Feel free to check out my website if it's helpful. It's got free videos of guided meditation, and absolutely, y'all are already connected to AGE and AAA, but stay connected to them because they're great organizations. And just thanks for being caregivers. Thanks for what you do, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate the information. It's been great. And we do have your website, and we'll make
Yes.
sure folks have that.
We'll make sure to share that as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And if anybody would like to hang back, Rhonda and I will be available to answer any questions that you might have. We are able to, you know, talk about resources, our particular agencies. So you are welcome to hang out and submit any questions. Again, thank you so much for being just so flexible. Again, we are living in this new way of providing, you know, education to you, and just that flexibility is definitely appreciated as we navigate all the technical issues that come up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, please feel free to email me. I put my email in the chat. Email me if you have anything, questions or concerns, and I can get in touch with Natalie as well. I put our websites there. If you have any questions after we're done today, maybe something comes up this afternoon, let us know. You know, reach out to us. If you want to receive something in the mail, let me know. Email me, and I can certainly put a package together with your to send to your mailing address. So please do that. We're so grateful that y'all have all been here today. You know, remember as you go that just to have a safe and mindfulness holiday season. I think we learned a lot from Dr. Zuniga. I did. You know, that not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything is going to be what we think it's going to be like. And so just remember that. And AGE, Central Texas, and the Area Agency on Aging are both available as resources for you. If you need some assistance, please reach out to us. Absolutely. And so if we'll be here for a few more minutes, if y'all have any questions or anything you need to ask, please do so. Thank you, Jamie and Esther. We're glad that y'all were able to join us today. Appreciate that word from the two of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. You're welcome. Thank you. Again, please reach out if you need any resources. We have lots of different ways for caregivers to find support, and we are happy to share that. Okay. Well, then I will go ahead and wrap this up. And thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful day.